It's the Mark Clark Show at noon, and my special guest today is LaToya Dixon. Had a chance to talk to Toya yesterday. She had a crowdfunding event that wrapped up, and we spent some precious moments on the show, and I wanted you to hear what she had to say about her amazing products. And again, the product will be a game changer. So here's LaToya Dixon joining us on Mark's Noon Show.
And came to 92Q in Baltimore, and we just worked so well together, the whole team, to just give the city something fresh, and that was great for me. And then I came back to Atlanta and worked for Hot 107.9 in Atlanta, which is a hip-hop station, and then I got poached from there and went to Turner, started my television run with Peachtree TV and then Bounce TV, and in the mix of all of that, I started some businesses. Some of them went well, some of them didn't. You know how entrepreneurship goes. And so I have a business, which is a hair extension business. I still have that. I do more VIP customer experiences with that. And now I'm starting a new brand that I'm super passionate about. So that's why I'm here today. I
love it. And LaToya, I noticed on your grind, you were kind of the person, you kept things close to the vest. And was that a technique you learned as far as not saying that you were, you know what I mean, not to say that you didn't communicate or anything, but you had things going on, but you weren't necessarily blurting about it, or you didn't fall victim to the I'm about to do concept. I'm about to do this, I'm about to do that.
Yeah, no. I've always been a very private person, but in learning entrepreneurship, you know, you have to learn to ask, you have to learn to say you need help, you have to build a team, and so over the years I've been doing that, but I've always been a behind-the-scenes person. I've never wanted to be in front of a camera or in front of a crowd or anything like that, but the more I grow as an entrepreneur, the more that changes, and that changes with knowledge, and it changes with mentors, and it changes with confidence in yourself. And so I am moving out of that quiet shell, though, into more of a straight in your face entrepreneur. So I'm excited.
Well, what you just said, though, is so crucial. And at 50, I'll be 54 in June. I'm really just kind of getting my feet wet in the entrepreneurial for real, arena, because I think it's interesting, like media and being a personality, it's funny because there are a lot of similarities. It's entrepreneurial like, but you still got
right.
that check every 2 weeks. So it's almost like and I guess that's the same way, like you say, in promotions and marketing, when you're working for a company, it's like you're doing it. There's a lot of work you do by yourself or things that you have to be responsible for, but it's different when you got that check coming every 2 weeks versus having to go out and secure the money in them streets, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And what you just said, I thought is so crucial because, it's funny when you're not doing it and people talk. I guess that's anything. If you're not really doing something and you hear people talk, you don't hear key things that they say. And what you just said, again, in the past, I would have probably not even paid attention to as much, but you said building a team, right? And that's
Absolutely.
So important. You can't do it by yourself. As I look at my 30-plus year radio career, and, I think street DJs, not street DJs, but, cats who are DJs in clubs and stuff, they do a much better job of that than, like, the average radio MC. They usually have a team, they have a squad, they secure opportunities. I think, especially this generation, because the generation before us was much more entrepreneurial because that check wasn't as big, and so you had to go get it. But building a team, like you said, and then the other thing, and I'm gonna put myself on blast, but it really speaks to your system, and I love this. When you said asking people, like when you're an entrepreneur, number one, you have relationships, and people use you, and I'm not saying use you in a bad way. I'm saying, again, Toya, you witnessed it. The Big Fat Morning Show in Baltimore, so many people came through the door and did interviews just on the whim and consistently. And I never asked for anything. And then when I got let go, I never called them for anything. But looking back, I understand how it works. Hey, sharing my airways with you allows me to ask you for something. You know what I mean? And that's something that when you're an entrepreneur, that's very real. So I say all that to say I had to laugh, Toya, because Toya has actually your crowdfunding ends today, right? This is the last day of the crowdfunding.
Yeah,
and we'll mention
today
that.
is the last day of my crowdfunding. Yeah,
and so
it's a lot of asking. It's a lot of asking.
Right, and I saw Toya. So I saw this when it started on social media. And Toya, I think you asked for support, or I saw it, and I said, I support. I'm gonna support you, girl. And you're like, great, Mark, love you. You always support me. And so, but I didn't do it. And so the other day, I got a notice. Hey, Mark. Hey, there's only 2 days left. So and so and so and so. And so you have a system. Again, now that I'm paying attention, you have a system that reaches out to those who had made a pledge or made a promise or said they would get involved, right? Just a reminder, a gentle reminder that this thing is wrapping up and I need your help. And I think, again, that was something that I've always had a problem doing and asking people for anything. And so getting that reminder, boom, I'm like, oh, my goodness, it's over in 2 days. I was able to support and boom, you know what I mean? Versus missing the window and you missing the window because you didn't ask. But so that's the third thing that you said that you're doing is I'm noticing is that you have a system. Your crowdfunding system allows you to keep track of what people are doing and also helps promote and remind people how to contribute. So tell us about. I'm sorry, I talked all the time to you. So go ahead. I'm gonna chime in on that and then tell us about the crowdfunding.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, when developing any type of brand, if it's a personal brand or if it's a product, you have to have some systems. It definitely took me some time and, some, like I said, some failed businesses and some successful businesses to learn, to develop a team that you can trust, that you can delegate to, that helps you build and see your vision and also help you refine your vision as you go along. And so with my crowdfunding campaign, I'm crowdfunding with the organization platform called iFund Women. I went through a lot of research to find the perfect crowdfunding campaign. You have, GoFundMe and Indiegogo and all those things like that. But this one poured into the entrepreneur, and I like that we have to have workshops and classes and coaching and all those things that help you build the confidence to make the ask. And making the ask is not always monetarily. Sometimes it's could you share this information with your network? Could you become a mentor? Could you become an advisor and those types of things? So you have to make the ask, and it took me a while to do that. It took a lot of humbling experiences to get to the place I am now with crowdfunding for my new brand, which is called Zalive Hair Suppressant. It is a cream formulation for women who are suffering with unwanted facial hair. You got that little pesky mustache, or you got the little, you're plucking at your chin hairs and things like that. And, women go through these things and we hide in our bathroom, in our closet, or we just, go and get laser hair removal and different things like that. But a lot of those things are costly, and sometimes we just want the privacy and being in the privacy of our own home with it. So this product will help women to be able to do so. So crowdfunding has been a huge part of it because formulation costs so much to do it right. And
so if people want to find out more about this and give and even make a pledge, where do they go?
If they would like to make a pledge, they can go to my website. It's Zalive Skincare, and that's DELAVESKINCARE.com. And you'll see there's a whole campaign page there, and they can go and make a donation or contribution. I have rewards, so it's not just, hey, give me your money, and, I'm just going to take it and do this thing. It's part of building a team, and I look at it as building a village. Those who have helped and contributed to my campaign are part of this village. That means that you believe in what I'm doing, and you need that village as an entrepreneur because you have some very stressful times. And so that contribution means everything. Every dollar counts. I tell people that every dollar counts as an entrepreneur. So if they want to make a contribution, they can go to the website. Again, it's ZaliveSkincare.com, or you can check out Zalive Skincare on any social media and make your contribution there.
Again, we're talking to LaToya Dixon, and she's an entrepreneur, and she's a friend. And LaToya, I'm going to talk about you, and then we're going to come back to the specifics of your product, and I have some questions about that. So, LaToya, what I thought about was the good thing about, like, I was just thinking about you as a person, and, you know, this is something that I think a lot of, like black folks especially, you know, we can talk. I mean, of course, everybody's listening. It doesn't matter what color you are. But I'm going to just break this down real quick because I think this is very crucial, very important, especially when you talk about entrepreneurship, leadership, and reputation. So you're the kind of person, even, again, you know, as we became friends at 92Q and we worked together and I saw how you move, it's like LaToya is the kind of person that if she's going to speak up about it or if she's going to back it, it's not going to be some bulls. It's not going to be some crap. You know what I mean? Like, and so I think, you know what I mean? You like you said, you were kind of quiet. You'd err on being quiet, but knowing it's going to be right versus running the mouth and setting up some hype. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's
Absolutely.
something that's, you know what I mean? So that's another thing for those who are listening. And again, as myself, I'm learning about myself and my brand. And your brand is basically who you are. You know what I'm saying? You have to really start looking at who are you? Like, again, if LaToya would ask me to do something or ever call me for something, I already know it's going to be right. I'm like, you know, some people call you and you're like, and you don't want to say, yeah, I would do it, but your character is shaky. You know what I'm saying? You're the kind of person that, you know, again, if you know, and that's so important. I think a lot of people who do business, some entrepreneurs get a bad reputation, or actually entrepreneurship gets a bad reputation because a lot of people, their character's shaky and their business is shaky. So therefore, when people people sell you stuff, you become, you know, you suspect. You don't believe it. You're like, I don't know, is this person trying to get over, whatever. And so I just wanted to say that about you. And the same way, like when you look at your presentation, you could tell it was well thought out. And then this area, this you know, this system that you have, you know, facial hair for women is a very sensitive topic, you know. And I love the way, number one, you put yourself out there because I think that's important. And then your video and everything is very personal. It's very candid, you know what I mean? And you feel comfortable. You feel like, okay, this person is not trying to get over with some snake oil. This stuff, I don't feel like she put herself out there like that. And so talk about that.
So when you think about a brand, especially when I thought about this brand and I thought about my personal fight with unwanted facial hair. So I've been working on this brand for 2 years. I'll give you a little back here. So I've been working on this brand for 2 years, just studying hair, how it grows, you know, follicles, you know, how our body chemistry works with those things, and all of that stuff. So when I thought about this brand, I thought about my personal fight, my personal story. And a lot of times brands build from personal story. It builds from a void of something that you needed that wasn't there, or maybe something was there, but it wasn't exactly what you needed. And so you created a brand based on what you needed. And then you saw that there were many people around you that needed that same brand, but they also wanted a person attached to it. And that was very important for me. And I think when it comes to most brands, that's important to consumers these days. They want to know, how does this relate to me? How do you relate to me? How can I relate this to my personal journey, my personal story, my personal business, whatever it is? So that was very important for me. And so I had to put myself out there and say, hey, I experienced this too. This has been my fight. This is how much money I've spent. This has been, you know, the research that I've done. This has been what I've been doing to bring this brand to life. And I think that helped in my presentation of what I'm doing. Even when I speak to strangers about my brand, they understand it because there's a person attached to it. And that meant so much to me in this particular brand that I'm doing, in this particular business that I'm building.
And LaToya, it's interesting. That's it's like, you know, again, I keep saying the black community, but when we talk about women and facial hair, and especially in the South, right, it is interesting, right? It's an interesting observation, conversation. So you'll see, you know, so like you said, you have some women who have facial hair like the whiskers piece. And again, I think that becomes a lot of times prominent when women go through the change, you know, the hormones change. And I know my mother used to struggle with the little, you know, the chin whisker piece. And then some women have, again, like my you know, my girls, my middle child, especially, she, you know, she does the laser removal, you know, and she has that challenge. And then you have, the auntie mustache in our black community that people talk about, which is interesting because a lot of times when women have, especially in the old days, when women had a lot of facial hair, they just keep it and rock with it. Like, yep, you know what I mean? And so, Toy, what have you found? Like, is that a cultural thing? You know what I'm saying? Because the auntie with the little mustache or whatever. And
right. I think as women get older, sometimes they embrace those things. I think the generations now and my generation, we are all about, that natural, clean look when we present ourselves. And so a lot of times, you struggle with having to go get a facial wax or go and spend money on electrolysis or laser hair removal, or you're shaving at home. And a lot of times you miss those days, and then you find yourself out in public and you got this facial hair, and and you may see it or someone else may point it out, and those things can rock your confidence. And I think that we're in a space now in our society where we want to have the most confidence. We talk about self-care, we talk about self-love, and those are part of things that happen in that moment. And I think that the old auntie mustache and, chin hair and all that stuff like that, I think that's for more of older generation. So I'll say, our 70, 80-year-old women in our communities. But I do have 70, 80-year-old friends who say, when is this product going to be available? My grandson said I had a mustache, because they don't want to, they don't want to deal with that. So this product is solving that problem. And in order to solve that problem, and the reward of that problem is, increasing self-confidence, increasing self-awareness, increasing self-love, because now you have something that you can use in the privacy of your home. You don't have to go spend a bunch of money on it. You don't have to make an appointment for it. You don't have to shave for it. You don't have to worry about not forgetting that something that you can do at night right before you go to bed. And so, a lot of thought went into the process of this, and the experiences that I've heard and the stories that I've heard from women who are 20 years old to women who are 81 years old.
It's so powerful. It's so powerful. And you're right. I think what you said was perfect. The self-care aspect is much more in play with this generation. And I see how powerful this is going to be. And so when you make your multi-millions, don't forget about your friends. But also,
I'll never forget about you, Marky.
Also, but you're interesting. It's interesting, Toy, because you're also in the hair game. And so it's been it's interesting. It's been a revolution. I'm older than you. And speaking of Big Mama and, our aunties or whatever, Toya, I have to laugh because, not laugh, but just I have a passing thought. You remember, so, it used to be like when you see wig shops on certain parts of town were almost like outdated, out of style, a wig shop, Then I'm like, it's like a hair revolution that's not going anywhere, right? It's not going anywhere. It is here to stay. And if it's wigs, if it's extension, if whatever I'm just saying the hair game. And so it's just a trip because, if I took a snapshot, and again, I'm older than you, when I was in let's say when I was 28, and you talk about wigs, that was something that your grandma would wear, or your mom maybe, but wigs were not
very taboo.
Yeah, it wasn't in fashion. But now, and the thing about the hair piece that I just think is amazing is I think a lot of us felt that it was just going to be a trend, that weaves were a trend, that this was a trend. It's not. It's here, right? It's here. It's here to stay. And so you've kind of you're in the hair game all the way in.
Yeah.
And
I am.
And then Atlanta is such a mecca of it, with the high profile hairstylists and the hair shows there. So, Toya, what is going on? What's the latest, or what's the trend now with the hair game? Because you're kind of all in.
So with the hair game, of course, you still have extensions, but it's almost like fashion. Fashion comes back around, and then it's reintroduced, and so we are in the space in the hair industry where wigs have been reintroduced, and people want wigs, and they want to change up the styles. They want to change them up multiple times a day or every other week, or they have something that they're wearing to work and something that they're wearing, socially. And so, we're in that space now where women want variety, and they don't want to be judged by the variety, and they want to, feel free to change up the styles and change up the colors and cuts and all the things like that. And so that is the space where the hair industry is right now. And so, you still have your natural hair, you still have your short haircuts, but you also have, people who want to change it up. And so they wear all of it.
Well, it's so interesting how you look at something. First of all, like like you were saying, putting yourself in the ads for your product, and then you being comfortable, or at least putting yourself out there and saying how important it was to connect with people. With the hair piece, it's interesting. My daughter is let me shout out my little brag about my oldest. She's a ebony fire dancer at Hampton. And so they wear wigs, wigs are a big part of the presentation. And so because she wears a wig, the irony is all the girls are natural, and so, but Sydney wears wigs all the time as a part of being Ebony Fire. And then also she enjoys wearing wigs, like you said, to switch up the style, to do this, to do that, to do this. And it's so interesting how when a person takes away the baggage or the, shame, embarrassment, whatever you want to call it, and they have fun with their hair, and they have fun making different statements, it then it feels different. And the energy is totally different than when someone is wearing something or they feel almost ashamed of it, or it's like a secret, and so right. It's interesting, where we are on that. And I think as you mentioned before, just like the facial piece, I think there's freedom that comes with that, and I think it's a good thing. I think it's a positive thing. But I think I could also hear some people hate. So you hear some people hate. Well, wearing a wig is that. You're not proud of your hair. No, it's. I think that's an old argument now too.
Right. It's self-choice. We're in a space of self-choice, and our generation now is all about self-choice. So what makes them feel good. Regardless of if anyone likes it or not, they're going to go for it. And I think that all generations now have started embracing that to an extent, and it's good because now people can be free to be themselves in however way manner that they want to carry themselves, and that's what's most important.
That's it. And LaToya, talking to LaToya Dixon, entrepreneur. LaToya, where are you now? Where you live? What city you live in now?
Right now, I live in Jacksonville, and I get to enjoy going to the beach in the morning, although they just opened the beach since we've been sheltering in place. And so we have some little small beaches that are not crowded. Today we went to the beach about 30 minutes away from here, and it was literally 7 people at the beach.
Oh, okay.
And it was a great time. We got the chance to see the sunrise because that's what we do. That's our normal morning. We get up, go watch the sunrise. That gets us energized and ready for the day. That's our moment to spend spiritually. And, being locked down for the last 30-plus days, it was a lot. But, love Jacksonville. It's a growing city. I love the beach. And so that's where I am right now.
And I always associate, and I didn't know that, I always associate you with Atlanta. So anybody that goes to Atlanta, I'll be like, do you know LaToya?
Atlanta is still home base for me. I'm in Atlanta very frequently.
Okay, because I always ask people if they know you. I'm small. I'm from small town. I'm like, you know LaToya Dixon. They're like, yeah, actually, but a lot of people do know you though. That's the other part because you've been been in the industry a long time in the early, not the early, but the middle years.
And in being in Atlanta and working in radio and television, there was a level of respect that I wanted to have in that industry, and that was treating people well. You treat people well, they'll treat you well, and they'll remember that you treated them well. And so that's always been my motto on life, is treat people well, because you never know when we have to circle back around to each other, may need something, may have something for someone, and you want to keep those lines of communications open, throughout the years. And that was 15, 17 years of my life.
And that's us. I mean, I think that describes our relationship. We see each other. It's like we never left. And there was a real connection. And I think this is why, again, LaToya, I think this product is amazing. I'm definitely going to get it for our household. But again, as we wrap it up, let people know how they can get it. It's the last day to contribute. This is crowdfunding. Let's go.
Yes.
Let's get that guap
Yes,
up, y'all.
Absolutely. So I am a little halfway over my crowdfunding mark, and I'm still taking contributors and supporters for the campaign. I'm also looking for investors, and it's very hard to do conceptual investment. However, I am looking for investors. But if you want to contribute, any amount is welcome. You can definitely go to my website, which is Delave Skincare, DELAVE skincare.com. And contribute and learn more about this product. And if you have questions about this product, I am answering questions directly to people. So I'm excited for people to learn about the product, which is biotech-based and plant-based, and people to use the product when I'm ready for it to hit the market.
That's amazing. I'm so impressed with the quality and how it's all laid out. And again, I'm a supporter, and anybody, if I hear some money jingling, I'll send it your way. LaToya, your family. Look, be safe.
Absolutely.
Enjoy the sunsets in Jacksonville.
Thank you.
And
we get the sunrises.
The sunrise, yeah.
Which is great. Yeah.
Well, I love it. And continued success, okay?